Money can be lost and earned back. Time only moves in one direction. Every hour spent is permanently gone, and how you spend it carries an absolute, unrecoverable opportunity cost. When boredom hits, the instinct is to immediately reach for a phone or a TV remote. We default to screens because they represent the path of least resistance, demanding zero initial activation energy compared to almost any other activity. This chart compares the long-term payoff of downtime habits. The flat line represents passive scrolling, hours disappearing into feeds, yielding zero new skills. The exponential curve maps deliberate downtime, actively compounding your knowledge, health, and environment. To make that shift, we need to evaluate our options. We can categorize 5 specific downtime activities based on the friction required to start them, measured against their probable return on investment. By simply reclaiming your neurological baseline, you transform this idle time into a powerful strategic advantage for your future self. This matrix measures how we spend our free time. We chart the activation energy required on the bottom and the long-term yield on the side. The first category covers environmental and neurological resets. Think of taking a long walk outside or doing a minimum viable cleanup of your room. These tasks require low-intensity physical movement while forcing a complete disconnect from digital inputs. You step away from screens and let your brain process existing information rather than absorbing new, disjointed data. Moving your body releases a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. This acts to preserve your existing brain cells while stimulating the growth of new neural synapses, directly improving how you synthesize ideas and remember what you learn. On the environmental side, straightening up your immediate surroundings removes visual clutter. Having fewer physical items competing for your attention directly frees up subconscious cognitive bandwidth. Because you don't have to clean the whole house or run a marathon to get these benefits, the required activation energy remains low, falling squarely into the moderate to high ROI quadrant. Reset tasks offer no immediate dopamine spike, yet they function as essential biological breaks for an overstimulated mind. Restlessness often stems from a specific type of boredom, having ample time but no clear structure to fill it. This brings us to directional anchoring, which usually takes the form of physical goal setting and planning. Leaving a to-do list floating in the back of your mind allows your brain to filter out those tasks as unimportant. Writing them down on physical paper forces a change in how that information is handled. Translating abstract thoughts into a structured physical format engages multiple brain regions. It signals priority, increases retention, and generates a motivational dopamine hit as you visualize a path forward. The trade-off here is friction. Sitting down to map out your goals requires you to confront your own lack of progress. That takes considerably more emotional energy than watching a video. Looking at our matrix, physical goal setting maps to a moderate activation energy, but delivers a highly structured, long-term ROI. By defining the intent behind your daily actions, you build a psychological compass. This directly targets and cures the root cause of aimless downtime. The final category of free time investments demands the most from us, both in focus and mental stamina. This is cognitive compounding. It involves voluntarily reading topical books or taking structured courses to acquire a new skill. Most people stop actively learning the day they leave school. If you use the dead time spent waiting in lines or lobbies to consume specialized information, like behavioral psychology or finance, you systematically stack insights your peers simply don't possess. Engaging with novel learning also creates momentum. The positive mood generated by mastering a new concept naturally spills over, making the difficult parts of your daily routine much easier to execute. But the barrier to entry is steep. You have to proactively remember to carry a book, and sitting down to process complex material demands the absolute highest level of mental activation energy. On the matrix, this places it firmly in the quadrant of maximum activation energy and maximum long-term yield. Firmly cracking open a dense book might feel exhausting in the moment, but for those with the ambition to execute, the cumulative returns on those hours will dwarf almost every other investment you can make. Trying to optimize your downtime usually fails because people apply a rigid, one-size-fits-all approach. If you ignore your current mental state, the friction will always defeat your intentions. This flowchart offers a practical diagnostic. Before choosing an activity, you need to identify your specific mental deficit. If your boredom is actually masking mental fatigue from an overwhelming day, route your downtime exclusively to low-stakes activities. Take a walk or micro-clean your workspace to reset. If your boredom feels like a restless anxiety, you need structure. Channel that energy into physical goal setting to establish your direction. And if your energy is high but you feel stagnant, that is the moment to deploy maximum cognitive effort. Read the book or take the course to force skill acquisition. Misalignment is the trap. Forcing yourself to read a dense financial textbook while deeply burned out causes the brain to reject the effort, leading straight back to doom scrolling. Make no mistake, regardless of your mental state, reaching for your smartphone will always remain the path of least resistance. Squandering boredom sacrifices the chance to intentionally choose the momentary friction that builds your future.